Hello, and welcome to the session on the topic of social media marketing, facilitated by myself, Vaniol, from Coventry University, Juliana Turnbull from SEOJoblogs.com, and Philip from creatorsmedia.co.uk. This is a brief about us. So I am teaching at Coventry University as a digital marketing lecturer since January 2019, and I have also done a PhD in the subject. Jo is a freelance online marketing consultant specializing in SEO, social, and strategy. She is the organizer of Search London, a networking event in central London on PPC, SEO, and social media, running for 10 years now. She is also the founder of Turn Digi, a digital marketing event supporting rising talent like you, entrepreneurs with a diverse range of speakers. Philip is at Creators Media, the co-founder and manager, and he has experience in national and international business growth with small and larger businesses. So before we look at the learning objectives, I would like to run a video for you that will tell you something about social media, the topic of the day. So as we've just looked at, 2 billion users on Facebook, almost 500 million on LinkedIn, posting thousands of videos on YouTube, and more thousands of pics on Instagram. And you are one of the creators of that content. Media has evolved. So media has evolved from just being newspapers, books, to online media, social media, where people like you and me can post. So therefore, in this topic or in this session, we'll be looking at the evolution of media. Additionally, we'll also be looking at identifying the role the data plays in the changed media and the digital marketing landscape. So the data that you post on Instagram, the comments that you post on Facebook, we'll be looking at how this data is useful or used by social media companies in order to market products from different businesses and get your attention. Additionally, we'll be also looking at understanding marketing on social media with a focus on Facebook. Over to you, Jo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'll be talking to you all about what is social media. And I also wanted to say thank you to Vani for having me on the show today. Well, in the recording, I would say. Actually, I met Vani at a social event, which we will go into later. And I wanted to give you all an introduction about social media and how you can really use it for the greater good and for your businesses. So if we go to the first slide, This just gives you an overview really of internet access. So I don't know about some of you, but I started using internet back in actually 1993. And, we saw a lot of search engines that were there are no longer today. So for example, Yahoo or companies like MSN, they've evolved quite a lot. And the same with AOL. And it just shows you that you're always going to have evolution and you need to keep up with the times in order to be able to continue and grow your business. If we look at the next slide, we want to be talking about more around the evolution of social media. So we had a platform called Blogger that was launched in 1999, and that was probably one of the first times that we actually have the user generating their own content. So before it was obviously in the hands of the publisher. And in August 2003, we had companies such as MySpace that was launched, and it grew very, very big, so much so that actually Rupert Murdoch, they actually bought the the parent company for over $580 million. And this is before Facebook. Facebook actually took place, was open to outside of university students in 2006. And since then, well, it's grown considerably. And we can see on this graph, we can see, Instagram, there's Flickr, there's a lot more social networking a lot more social media platforms that people can use. But you need to really just not be overwhelmed by how many there are, but really be consistent in your use of it. So in our next slide, we have a more up-to-date example of the fact that what I mentioned earlier was that social media allows the content to be user-generated. So before it was always in the hands of the publisher, but now it's in the hands of the users. And people can make the most of it and do it for the greater good, whereas other people do not. As we can see in this example, we had the Donald Trump event or the protest that took part on January the 6th, which resulted in many people being injured and unfortunately being killed. And Twitter has now suspended Donald Trump's account for helping to cause for bringing about more violence, which is obviously not needed in any country of today. So as I mentioned earlier, social media, there's a lot of different platforms, but really what it is you need to be focused on what's going to be good for you and your business. So here, and Vanny also shared in the video earlier how many users there are. So on Facebook, they post 4.75 billion of content. YouTube users watch 4 billion videos. There's a lot of people that are going to be using your social media and reading your content. So it just needs to be consistent with your brand messaging. This is a little screenshot from Smart Insights, really about what happens online in 60 seconds. We have WordPress in here as well because WordPress is a platform that you can create your own website on. It's really easy to use your own, create your own website without being a coder. Obviously, we have WhatsApp as well as a new social media platform tool. YouTube, of course, owned by Google, but this is a platform that many people visit to try and learn new skills, especially during the lockdown. Many people were going online to try and improve themselves and try and learn more practical skills. So you need to be deciding with your business which platforms that you would like to look on. For example, for my business, I look at more LinkedIn and Twitter. Facebook can be for B2C companies, which is business to consumer companies, and a lot of B2B, business to business companies use LinkedIn. So looking at what are the different social media platforms, we can still see that Facebook is top of the league, followed by YouTube, and very surprising I was surprised to see this with WhatsApp. Obviously, in other countries where they don't have Facebook, they have WeChat that was very popular, followed by Instagram. And TikTok actually has increased in popularity since the lockdown, and it's now one of the top social media networks. Really, the point of this information from Statista, which is a very useful website, is the fact that you've got a huge number of people that are using social media. In 2020, it says 3.6 billion people are using social media, but this is set to increase to around 4.41 billion. And that's quite a high substantial increase just in 5 years. That's by 2025. So really what I'd wanted to emphasize is the fact that, as I mentioned before, if you are using social media, if you're using social media now and you're at university, that's great, but be careful what you post on it because it is there forever. What you should do it also is when you start working for an organization, if you can be doing some freelance or maybe some internships or some sort of work experience, make sure that you have the brand messaging from your company and you have it using it across a proper social media sort of strategy. So put it, for example, for LinkedIn or use it on Twitter, but just don't try and do everything. We still have the largest demographic using social media as the young adults in 2020. But as I've witnessed, and as I'm sure many of you have as well, the largest growing demographic actually is those that are over 65 years old. And really, come to no surprise as others, but mobile is the device when people are accessing social media. 99% of the social media users actually use it via mobile instead of desktop. So lots of opportunity for businesses to grow. And in our next slide, we'll go through some of the things that you would use social media for. So one of the top one is community management, communication, and outreach. So really it's about, when you do social media, it's about building a community. So I met Vani at a community that I've built called Search London. That was an offline event. And I made a lot of contacts and friends, and my co-organizer is helping me run it too. We've now since moved online due to the pandemic. And I've started doing another platform using another online event, Turn Digi, which Vani mentioned earlier. And the fact with this one, it goes into point 4, it's a support. It's a support network for other people, really. When you have your own company or when you are working for a company, you should use social media also as a way of supporting others for customer service. You can see that this is very active in banks, on Vodafone, on the mobile phone businesses. They often have used social media in this way. People use as well social media for reputation management, advertising and awareness, sales and lead generation. And it comes in here as SEO. So a lot of people in SEO use social media, but actually if you use social media, you also get traffic from social media. I use social media to do research as well. Many people use Twitter polls. It's very useful to do. You can also do Google Forms, which you can share either on Twitter or you can share on LinkedIn. But what you must do with social media is have your own strategy. And really it's what do you want to get out of using social media for you personally or your business. And just remember that you have a consistent message coming across. And make sure that you're also, when you're building up that community, make sure that you're sharing valuable information. Don't just be pushing out messages, hoping that people will share things, but really have, back to the first one, or the second point, sorry, community management, really trying to build a community. Vani and I are also part of another online community, Women in Tech SEO group, and that has nearly, I think, 1,600 members, and that's grown phenomenally in the past 12 months. So really just be consistent with your messaging, build up your community, and share the content with others. Don't just always do push messaging. So we're going to, this last couple of slides here before we're taking you into the social media advertising is the fact that is the point we touched on earlier with it, where you have a lot of people using their mobile phones instead of actually using desktop. So here you can see in 2014, in terms of accessing the internet, it was people were using their phones for 26% of the time they spent online. And now it's gone up actually to about 48% and probably even more in 2020. Now this is just, of course, just for the US. It could be higher in other countries where they don't have access to desktop computers. I'm sure you all are aware, you all are using the internet, using your websites. But when you obviously go and visit a website, there are cookies that are placed on your browsing history. So cookies basically are small pieces of data, really, from a specific site that you have visited, and it's stored on that user's computer while they're browsing the web. So this is why when you're searching for something, let's say a Valentine's present on in Google, or you're searching for some different gifts, maybe you're looking at some gifts for your dog, gifts for your cat. When you go onto Facebook, you will get served those type of ads. So you'll get served ads looking to have Valentine's Day with your cat or with your loved one. You will get those ads because of the cookies. Um, it basically tracks user activity. So there is always somebody watching you.